Who's ready for another DCU news update? Today we've got some pretty big news about Blue Beetle, James Gunn himself talks comic book synergy, and a message from Shazam himself, Zachary Levi. Let's take a couple minutes to break down all the DCU news. Well, welcome to the latest episode of DCU Update. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to get all the DC news. There is so much happening, it's utterly amazing, and you don't want to miss any of the updates. Today, we're going to break down a few news stories, including some pretty big and potentially game-changing news about Blue Beetle's status in the DCU. James Gunn himself talks a little bit about comic book synergy, something we all know is really important. And Shazam himself, Zachary Levi, talks a little bit about the current status of the DCU and what's going on with some rather electric language. Let's dive into Blue Beetle first. Now, a lot of people, myself included, are super stoked about this movie. We know Xolo Maridueña is playing Jaime Reyes, who gains his superpowers when he gets that scarab, which grants him a powerful exoskeleton and all kinds of great weapons. The movie has a star-studded cast and includes George Lopez and Susan Sarandon, and we'll see him facing off with Carapax the Indestructible Man. Now, we're going to have to wait till next August to see this movie, but we're starting to get more and more details about what's coming at us in the form of several posters. Now, as we say, merchandise is where we get lots of confirmed details, and I wouldn't call this one confirmed. It's rather cryptic, but it is very interesting and a big change to the DCU. Now, this comes from Eric Davis, who works for Fandango, and apparently he got a couple of promotional posters for the upcoming movie. One side has the scarab, but it appears the flip side has the statement of, "This is just the beginning." Well, this makes us all ask, the beginning of what? I cannot be the only person that feels like Blue Beetle is about to get an upgrade. Depending on when this slogan was drafted, it could have different implications, and one of them could be pretty huge for the DCU. It's very possible that the slogan just refers to this movie, this character, and the implementation of him in what was an already established movie universe. That is highly possible. But considering the level of control Gunn and Safran have right now, it would be weird for this poster to come out without their approval. If the slogan is post-James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC Studios, then this could mean a strong possibility that he will indeed be part of the upcoming DCU. His character already seemed to be very standalone during production, and that may have just been something really good for the project and fans and led them to this point. We do know the new DCU wants to focus on the Trinity first, but I'm pretty sure James Gunn has seen this project already and knows how good it is, and if they're making these kind of moves, this could be the beginning of the new DCU way before anybody was expecting. Many people have speculated the Blue Beetle could be DC's version of Spider-Man, and although he's not one of the Trinity characters, could be absolutely critical to help that world-building aspect he's now been tasked to do. Quite honestly, I think this is exactly what Gunn's doing. It's a decisive move, and he will fit well into the new DCU. Speaking of James Gunn, he did have something very interesting to say over on Mastodon about the synergy between comics and studios. Now, as many of you know, James Gunn and Peter Safran are putting together the new DCU, and they've been breaking a lot of new details over the last week. Now, one of the things that slipped past many people is a little piece that relates to DC Comics. Now, in case you didn't know, unlike Marvel, DC Comics is its own separate entity and not under DC Studios. James Gunn will be controlling everything that's on film, television, and also developing a lot of games. But whereas Kevin Feige and the leadership of Marvel Comics are connected to each other in their corporate structure. Now, a fan over on Mastodon asked Gunn if he plans to ensure a greater level of coordination with DC Publishing. Let's check out the post. Now, in this post, Dorklin actually asked James Gunn, "I don't know if this is in your power, but I hope that we'll see a better coordination with DC Publishing to have series and reprint characters that DC Studios will bring to the public." And this is where James Gunn replies, "I am working with my friend Jim Lee." Now, first off, bravo to Dorklin for asking a great question and going with that name. I love it. And then James Gunn, once again, being very close with fans. To me, this shows, again, he's one of us, knowing that the comics really are at the heart of all this and where it all began, and having an open line of communication back to DC Comics is critical. Now, what does this mean for us fans? Well, first and foremost, it means he's got some close and easy communication with the guys over at the comic studio, which I think is hugely important. But it also means some specifics as some of these projects start to develop. For example, there have been tons of rumors that Lobo or Deathstroke might be getting movies. And if this is the case, fans will want to read more about those characters, especially people who are unfamiliar. By connecting the studio with the comic department, this will allow them to coordinate these events and make finding reprints of classic materials easier for those fans to obtain. This also could give quite the oomph to those characters. A surge of new sales in back issues and an appearance on screen could push them forward very quickly. This is often what Marvel does with their characters combined with their movies, and I'm pretty sure James Gunn is looking to that exactly to bring similar benefits to DC Studios. Like we were just talking, Blue Beetle might be that first chapter in the DCU. And if that actually happens, I'm almost willing to place money on the fact that next summer you will start to see a lot of new Blue Beetle comics, maybe a new run of a new book, lots of reprints, and maybe even some new merchandise making its way out there. It's really good to see this team spirit going on within DC as a whole, and I love the idea that James Gunn is actively reaching out to Jim Lee and working together. It's that kind of brotherhood that helps develop some of the best things ever made. Speaking of looking out for each other, let's talk for a second about Zachary Levi and his vocal defense of the new DCU. Now, as many of you know, next summer we're going to get a sequel to Shazam. The new movie is called Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and once again, it'll star Zachary Levi playing the titular character. There's been a lot of rumors and back and forth about whether Levi will continue to play the character in the new DCU. We did a report on this the other day, and it appears the actor really does have a lot to say. Now, recently he took to Instagram Live, and he pretty much had quite the rant about what's going on. Now, I took a couple of quotes out of this, but the whole thing went on for over 10 minutes, so I would go check it out for yourself. It's actually on his Instagram page right now. In this post, he actually said, "The amount of conjecture and rumor mill and drama and nonsense that keeps going, that keeps getting spun around out there on Instagram and Twitter is laughable. So I would say just be patient and give them some space and some time to try and really make something special. And I think something that DC deserves to have, and something that Snyder tried to do and it ultimately didn't materialize." He went on to say that Gunn and Safran are not making decisions because they like someone or don't like someone. They're making decisions based on what's best for Warner Brothers, DC, that entire studio and entity, and trying to make as many fans, as much of an audience, as happy as they can. Now, he did acknowledge that many fans are a bit unhappy about some of the changes from the DCU to the DCU, but he did point out that DC Studios is prioritizing bringing the franchise to the biggest audience possible. And this is where he got a little heated. He actually said, "It's not an easy position. They got handed all these things that were already in a lot of conflict. So guys, just effing give them a break. Take it easy, take a breath. It's the holidays, for God's sake. Just go enjoy what the holidays are, give them some time to enjoy the holidays, and let's see what happens on the other side of this." Personally, I don't think he could be more right. The level of toxicity in response to some of these changes has been off the charts, and it's been something that's been allowed to be built up over several years. Obviously, there's great fans all over, but there is an element, in particular fandoms, that's gotten completely out of control, and the last couple of weeks since James Gunn took over and started to make these announcements has been off the charts. As for Levi, I will say, this is, I think, the proper move. He's basically saying what many other people are saying, but he really does have a stake in this game. We're gonna have to wait and see. He did respond to a fan the other day, suggesting that he was not fired from Shazam, and he did in his interview say he's in a pretty good position. So I think he's planning on playing the character down the road, but once again, he doesn't know very much more than we do. James Gunn has made it pretty clear, only him and Peter Safran know what's really going on. And so I believe Levi is taking up this position, which really gives him the best wait-and-see chance. Honestly, I can't imagine an actor making the mistake of trashing the whole thing. That definitely would put him on the outs, and I do believe that the Shazam mythology will be a big part of the DCU. It's just exactly when they decide to incorporate it. Now, where this leads the future of the character, we're going to have to wait and see. The new movie drops in March, so we're going to get a lot of Shazam early on this year. And I think if the sequel does very well, it makes his future very bright. If it underperforms, it once again will make a good reason to cut ties and move forward with something new. Unfortunately, box office results really do reflect what the audience wants. It doesn't always mean movies with a better box office are a better movie. Movies are obviously subjective, but it does mean that the returns on the investment of the people in the business aspect that are making the movies are getting more of what they want, and honestly, that's how they measure success. Profit is king. Now clearly the DC news is going to keep coming at us but it's probably going to slow down over the next couple of days. Hopefully everybody takes a break for the holidays, so I want to wish you guys a happy holidays. So please enjoy this time with the people you love the most. Obviously, we cover everything DC on this channel, so make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. But until we know more, what do you guys think? How would you feel about Blue Beetle being part of James Gunn's new DCU? And are you excited for the possibilities of some synergy between DC Studios and DC Comics? Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.